Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 217th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great today, Cameron. How about you?
I'm doing fine. Nothing new, really, to talk about.
We did a little vacay last weekend.
That's always nice.
Spent a couple days down in Arkansas with a big friend group. That was fun.
Yeah, got to watch the Mizzou game together.
Mm-hmm.
That's always nice.
It wasn't the most exciting game, but it was a win.
We'll get to that. Don't get me started just yet.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was something. Yeah, beautiful time of year to go down to Arkansas for a few days. Hope that's not too blasphemous.
Hopefully that's not offensive.
We were just barely across the border.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we came home in a hurry.
Yeah, no hard feelings about that.
What do we have on the docket this week? We are going to obviously talk about the Vanderbilt game. We're going to preview South Carolina. We are going to do our basketball 3-on-3 draft. But before we do any of that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review if you could. We appreciate that. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. And we do have a few news items on the football side. We've got a couple things. Wentzville, Missouri graduate Arlen Harris Jr., previously of Stanford, is transferring. A running back from Wentzville went to Stanford. Was a noticeable miss for Mizzou football recruiting, but he's transferring after only seeing, I think, 2 snaps in 1 game this year. And so he'll have 4 years of eligibility. I imagine the Mizzou coaching staff will reach out, and seems like running back. I mean, obviously we've got Tavoris Jones, who's a young guy that we would all like to see take over that job for the foreseeable future, but it wouldn't hurt to have another guy available like that.
Yeah, I have no idea what the interest level would be if between Harris and Mizzou, but I think he's a true freshman and got into at least 1 game this year, so that's tough to do at the Power 5 level, really anywhere. So he can maybe pull a Nate Pete, and kind of ironic actually, just to come back to Mizzou potentially from Stanford. But yeah, I mean, Mizzou is kind of set up in the running back room maybe in the future, but it's a kind of position that you really need a lot of bodies, and there's a lot of injuries and that kind of stuff. So it certainly doesn't hurt to add to that room a little bit if they can do that.
He was a 4-star player out of high school. Kind of low 4-star, 337th nationally.
Mm-hmm. That's the interesting thing about modern day college football, though, is if you miss on a in-state guy, I mean, legitimately, there's a decent chance that player could come back around in a year or 2 or whatever it is. So yeah, we've seen that happen a lot in football, and we've seen it happen in basketball too.
We'll talk more later about Coach Drinkwitz's recent press conferences, but that was something he mentioned about giving up quarterback coaching duties, was just how involved he has to be in recruiting. And he specifically mentioned the transfer portal being something that you kind of have to always be paying attention to. And it is very fascinating. I kind of love hearing coaches talk about how they split up their time between on the field X's and O's coaching and recruiting. And we never really hear much of that. So anytime you get a little bit of that behind the scenes, it is interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, almost like seeing the coach out on the football field because for the last 8 to 9 months of your life, it's just you just thought of them as the head recruiter almost. It's like, oh yeah, this guy has to coach the X's and O's too. Like he actually has to coach the football team.
Yeah.
It's just 2 totally completely opposite duties that he has to cover both of and do both well.
It feels like with basketball, it actually, like, we can look at the basketball team this year and be like, okay, Coach Gates, good recruiter, but obviously Coach Young is the guy for recruiting. Like, they're going to work together on a lot of that. They've got a nice staff that's all good at recruiting, but it's so obvious that he's here to get guys in the program. And that's Coach Drink for the football team.
Yeah.
And he's also the head coach, and he's also the offensive coordinator.
Right.
And last year he was the quarterback's coach too.
What are you hinting at?
We'll talk about that later. Mizzou football got a commitment for the class of 2023. And who was that?
Oh, really? You're gonna make me do this, huh? You had a pretty good attempt right before we started recording.
I'll give it a try. I
Okay.
believe this gentleman's name is Serigne Tounkara.
Okay, that was really good, actually. You
Let's
nailed it.
hear you do it.
Serigne Tounkara.
That's exactly what I said.
I just
Okay,
meant- I
we
just-
have to have gotten it right then.
Well, I just recorded basically your voice in my head and just kind of imitated it. So I don't know if I would have been able to come up with that otherwise. But yes, he's a defensive end from Texas. Came for a visit pretty recently, maybe as recent as even this past weekend. Wasn't a guy I was super familiar with really until the past couple weeks. And there's not a ton of film on him that I found, but certainly clearly a very explosive athlete. I mean, a lot of times in those highlight films, like they kind of point out who the player is before the play starts, but you can tell. You can just look at the players and you already know who it's going to be because he's so much bigger than everybody else, bigger frame and all that. So, but clearly, like I said, explosive athlete, long arms, big frame, was getting to the quarterback quickly and had some powerful moves and stuff. So, all the stuff you like to see from a dominant defensive end in high school. So, welcome to the fold.
Yeah, love to see an athletic defensive end. Under-recruited. I don't think he was actually ranked on any of the major services. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah, he might have been a 3-star on Rivals, I think,
Um,
potentially.
So, yeah, welcome aboard. Now, before we recap and preview the football games this week, we're going to do a little bit of basketball content. We're going to draft our 3-on-3 teams. We do this every year. In football, we do 7-on-7. In basketball, we're going to do 3-on-3. I'm interested to see. This is a little sneak peek of who we basically think are going to be the top 6 contributors. But we also have to balance our little squads to some extent, and we will let the listeners and viewers decide which team is better. I'm going to pull up a heads or tails.
It's kind of a snake draft scenario. So whoever
It'll be
gets
over really quick.
whoever gets the first pick will pick one player, but then the next person will pick 2 in a row. So
Okay, I'm flipping a digital coin on my computer. Kyle, go ahead and call it.
I'll say heads.
It is heads. You get to take the first pick if you want it, or you can defer and take.
In previous years, especially like in football, I feel like I've deferred, but I think this year, pretty top heavy. I think I got to go Isaiah Mosley.
Of course you do. Of course you do. That clearly the number 1 pick there. I get to pick twice in a row here. I'm going to take Kobe Brown. And then I'm going to follow that up with Demoy Hodge.
That's who I was going to pick.
I think I like my defense and scoring from both of those guys. Hodge is going to guard Mosley, and I like my chances there. Obviously, Mosley can score on anybody, but that's the best option to slow him down at least.
Yeah, considering like the bigs are so limited, I feel like obviously Kobe Brown was a no-brainer. Demoy Hodge, one of the better guards that are left that can also maybe go inside a little bit. And because of that very thing, I got to go with Noah Carter because he's probably the next usable big, if you even want to call him that. So that means I've kind of got like a scoring guard and kind of a versatile big that can step out potentially, but I'm going to finish up with Sean East as kind of a scoring point guard.
A lot of offense from your team.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of scoring threats.
Yeah.
I was saving point guard for last. You could have run the offense through Mosley.
That's
and
true.
Gone with like another wing player, but
Mm-hmm.
I like what you got going there. And I'm going to take Nick Honor to run point and provide good defense on East. And, man, this would actually be an incredible 3-on-3 game
This
to
would be a
watch.
good game.
I don't know if we've had such a perfectly balanced matchup in previous years. So
I will say on Nick Honor, John Rothstein on Twitter, he works for CBS. He's kind of a college basketball junkie. He's
very well connected,
tweeting about college basketball year round. He specifically tweeted this week that Nick Honor he's heard he looks really good in practice and he's kind of making a name for himself. So, I have no idea how he has that information when no one else does, but I'll take it. I think it's a pretty verifiable source. So
yeah,
Nick Honor he's gonna be playing a lot this year.
I'm looking forward to it. So here's our 3-on-3 squads, and you'll get to vote on Twitter which squad you think is best, and leave us a comment on YouTube if you think we picked wrong. I went with Kyle had the first pick. He went with Isaiah Mosley, and then he followed that up with Noah Carter and Sean East. I went with Kobe Brown, Demoy Hodge, and Nick Honor. That's a toss-up, honestly.
Evenly matched.
Yes. I think we did a good job there. All right, so that'll be it for basketball this week. We have an exhibition game, I think, on the 3rd, maybe?
That sounds right.
Middle of next week. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch some basketball.
And then next week we'll actually be previewing the first game of the regular season.
It's that time.
Now we're going to move on to the Vanderbilt game. And, man, this looked like it was going to be so fun. It was fun. First half was great.
Yeah.
And then just nothing happened in the second half.
I feel like Mizzou's played a few games like that this year where it's like there's a ton of action in 1 or 2 quarters and then just absolutely nothing happens for 50% of the game. Just punts. From both teams. Just neither team scoring, neither team's like attempting to take over the game. It's just like my emotions are a roller coaster. Like, all right, we forced a punt. Let's do something. Oh, we got a punt. Here comes the defense. It's just, that over and over and over. And once again, that happened in the second half of this game.
Yeah, at least we didn't have the first quarter hole to dig ourselves out of this game. I guess. But
yeah, what's worse, like, spotting the other team like 10 points and like making a valiant comeback and getting back in it, or like getting up early and like losing the lead.
Well, at least this way they won the game.
I suppose that's all that matters.
When they've been in a hole early, they have made a good comeback effort but fallen short.
Yeah, it honestly does feel like this was one of the only games that we've gotten out early and really taking control of the game from the get-go.
It was 17-0 at halftime, and then the game ended 17-14.
Yeah.
Brutal second half.
It was brutal.
Defense did everything they could, though. They did everything they needed to do. I keep viewing this game in my mind as a loss. Like, that's how
it feels. Yeah.
Watching the highlights afterwards, it felt like I was watching loss highlights.
Yeah. We were. I mentioned we were on vacation or whatever earlier this last weekend, and so you and I were watching the game together, obviously, but there were other people in the room that don't really watch Mizzou football, as often or really at all. And so it was kind of just like they were looking at us like, you guys you watch this stuff? Like, you like these guys? You root for this team? And it was like, yeah. Like, that's how I feel with my wife, too. She'll walk through the room and I'm fuming about something. And she's like, why do you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know.
That's relatable. Yeah, I've been in family get-together settings where I have made sure that I can, get the Mizzou game on the TV, and then people are like, "You really wanted to make sure you could see this? Like, you couldn't miss this game?
Yeah, appointment television?
Yeah,
really, Cam?
Yeah, that is how it felt a little bit, but at least they got the win. I don't know. I feel like I'm being the ungrateful fan who the team got a win, and I'm just like wanting more. But blame Vegas because they put us as a 14-point favorite.
I knew that was a mistake, really.
We both picked Vanderbilt to cover,
yeah.
But we thought that Mizzou would be scoring in the 30s.
Yeah.
We thought double. What they did in the first half, we expected that to carry on through the second half.
Yeah. We shouldn't even be surprised at this point by anything that happened in that game, really. I was surprised, actually, that they came out firing.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't be surprised by that second half, like, flame out, because it's just consistent with almost everything that's happened all season. But, you just would really, really hope that they'd be able to put it together for an entire game against a defense that's literally awful.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Missouri in the first half, the first drive of the game, 75-yard touchdown drive.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the first half, an 89-yard touchdown drive. And then they also had a 59-yard field goal drive.
Yeah.
The second half, Missouri offense, 81 yards of offense and 2 turnovers.
I don't even know how that's possible.
They had 2 drives in the first half that were about equal to, they averaged the same as the entire second half.
And this is truly like ungrateful fan behavior, but like even Luther Burden's touchdown was just one of those little sideways passes that he just broke.
Yeah, I literally said to you,
he's great.
Oh, this is going to happen against better teams, sarcastically.
Yeah, and his end around too. He should have been tackled in the backfield.
Yeah.
But just outran a guy and because he took a terrible angle. Like even the scoring plays were like, I don't think that happens against anyone else.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's not a great feeling.
That's not probably a great mindset.
Brady Cook, 17 of 25 passing, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a lost fumble where, man, I wasn't sure if he was going to get up from it.
Do you remember the oh man, he got shellacked on that play. We didn't Orgy.
Yeah.
He jumped right over.
Yeah. Schrader, probably?
Yeah, he jumped right over Schrader, who was like...
Orgy was everywhere, making plays all over the field.
Yeah, he was amazing. Well, he had the interception, too, which was a horrible pass by Brady Cook. Yeah. I don't even remember when that was. It was that first half.
Yeah.
Horrible pass. Somehow the defense held up.
Yeah. The defense has been awesome.
They're amazing.
And, like, Vanderbilt coming back in the second half and 4th and 1.
Yeah, that felt like one of those games that we always lose. Like, they were driving. They had momentum in late in the game. Only a 1-score game. I was like, this is a game we probably lose most of the time. But because it's Vanderbilt and they're completely inept, we were able to survive.
Yeah, Vanderbilt even got tricky and brought out a second quarterback.
Oh, yeah, he destroyed us last year, too,
or
whenever that was.
They're like, okay, I know you can do this. Yeah, Mike Wright actually played decently for not having started recently. And I don't know.
I think you mentioned to me a couple times, just like, this is just bad. 2 bad teams playing each other. You said that a couple times.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's true. Just like neither team is doing anything good.
Yeah, the only good things that are happening are a result of a team's failure.
Mistakes.
Yes, it's not, oh, these are 2 good, even average teams, and one of them is making a great play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even like the strip sack, that's just a complete breakdown in pass protection. Like a great play by the defender there, but Brady Cook should be able to drop back and get the ball out.
Yeah, it seems like he really struggles to pick up the rushers sometimes. Like, just is a little slow in reacting, or I don't know if it just literally doesn't feel the pressure, or even when it's like surrounding him, it feels like he just holds on to the ball too long and gets sacked or gets hit, makes a bad throw.
That's tough though, and like in that play in particular. And I feel like there's a handful every game where he shouldn't really be needing to feel hurried.
Yeah.
Like he should be able to take a 3-step drop and get it out.
Yeah,
and the offensive line just isn't.
The offensive line's terrible. They're not playing well, and especially in this game, they did not play well. But yeah, that is kind of an outlier situation with like the play that Orgy made for sure.
Yeah.
But
and we've had listeners point out in the past that it seems like we don't have a dump off to the running back as part of the plan.
I 100% agree, and was just actually about to say that. Like, there needs to be some safety valve plays, and it doesn't seem like there is, where it's like, okay, the pocket's collapsing. I need to have somebody I can just quickly dump it off to for 5 yards or whatever it is, and it doesn't really seem like that happens very often. And for considering how bad the offensive line has been, it seems like confusing.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of NFL teams that have the dump off to the running back is like the second read.
Yeah.
Like you have your primary wide receiver target. If that's not there and if you're getting hurried, find the running back as quick as you can.
Or just a tight end that goes and just sits down at the first down line or something.
Well, we know we don't have that.
We definitely don't.
That's like Barrett Bannister or somebody that's doing that some of the time, and that's successful. I don't know. It's very frustrating. I want to mention something that Coach Drinkwitz said about that strip sack touchdown play. In the post-game press conference, he said that he put that on himself. Basically, he didn't like his play call there to the extent that he said he thought he should have run the ball there and punted and put the defense back out there. I don't know if I love that mindset. Like, I feel like I'm being a little bit nitpicky, but you should be able to play to go get a first down.
Sounds like bunker mentality.
Exactly. So, yes, that would have been a better outcome than a strip sack touchdown by the defense. But
of course,
it seems like there's something in between giving up on the drive and just utter disaster of a play.
It's just like wait for the wide receivers to run 50 yards down the field. Yeah, there's got to be something in between those two.
And probably there's something there. Like, if Cook has enough time to get the ball out, there's decent chance that's a successful play.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Everybody's being very critical of everything Coach Drinkwitz says right now, me included. But there's just certain things where I'm like, I don't know about that thought process there.
Yeah, I don't either.
Might as well talk about the other one, which is Sam Horn. It came out on the broadcast. I didn't see any tweets about this pregame, but the broadcast was saying that they were told by Coach Drinkwitz that the plan was to get Sam Horn some snaps. And that didn't happen. And Coach Drink said in the post game that was the plan at halftime, up 17-0. And then when nothing went right, he just had to stick with Brady Cook.
So Brady Cook, I really just said that. Brady Cook sabotaged the offense
to stay out there.
Yeah, I think we just cracked the code there.
I don't want to think about that being the reality.
I'm totally joking.
I know.
For anyone out there that's like thinking I'm really doing a conspiracy theory, but
it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, man, it's frustrating, and I guess I don't know. We've analyzed Coach Drinkwitz and his like public relations so much, like this off season and this season.
That's where you love to be.
Yeah, just like nitpicking. Like we're talking more about what he says outside of the game than the actual game. Yeah. But
that's when you know you got a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know why you say anything really if you know there's a chance that you might not do it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like put him out there the first drive of the second half.
Yeah.
If like that's when you felt like you were headed towards that outcome, do it then. Don't wait around until I don't know. Just like that. Honestly, all of that talk feels like an acknowledgement that perhaps a better quarterback is on the roster, and maybe we'll get to that point someday.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Sam Horn's going to come in and change the season or anything like that, but I think fans just want to see something different, a change of scenery, maybe a little bit of a glimpse of hope for the future. And
I'm just glad that Brady Cook was able to go back out there after that big hit, because you know who was gearing up, ready to go out there and lead the offense was Jack Abraham.
Yeah.
Not Sam Horn.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like, what? Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Drinkwitz doesn't think Sam Horn's the second best quarterback right now in this moment. Like, if he had to play right now, but he was going to play in this game.
And he said in the press conference that Sam Horn has earned some game time based on how he's been practicing. Apparently not enough to have the backup job, though.
Mm-hmm. I will also point out, like, in the pregame warm-ups and stuff, like Tyler Macon is not even participating really in drills or like pregame warm-up type stuff. So it kind of seems like
he's
Tyler
clearly
Macon's
the
just
fourth
out of the equation completely, which kind of makes me sad, but I understand not everyone can play.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what else there is on that with the quarterback situation.
I mean, is there any other opportunity the rest of the season for
them?
them?
New Mexico State.
Okay, that's true. That's probably the only game that realistically we could expect him to play.
We have to see him now.
If it's just like we have to be blowing somebody out for him to get in there, it's not going to happen.
Surely it'll happen in that one.
Against New Mexico State. That's it.
That's it. But
Better than nothing.
We'll see how
see.
things go before that point.
I mean, literally, Vanderbilt's defense might be on par with New Mexico State. So it's not even a shoe-in that we could blow them out.
Yeah. They're bad, though. We will.
They're bad. Yeah,
we'll get to that.
Fine.
We'll get to that. Okay, anything else? The Vanderbilt game. Luther Burden, he's really good.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know that he makes those plays against better athletes on
Probably
defense.
Probably not, but I'm glad to see that he's mostly healthy. And, I mean, we kind of talked about maybe a little breakout game. I would say this is by far his best game he's had. Mm-hmm. He scored 2 touchdowns.
Nothing in the second half, though.
Nothing.
But that's the entire offense.
Yeah.
Harrison Mevis missed a field goal that would have made things a little comfier down the stretch. But
that's one of those games, like next year, when we're thinking about, okay, what happened last year against Vanderbilt? I'll be like, I have no clue. I will not remember this game at all.
Nothing good. A win, that's all.
Yep.
Okay, kind of transitioning into the South Carolina game this week. Previewing that, Coach Drinkwitz said that Cody Schrader will take over the lion's share of snaps at running back. He did have a good game. He had 14 carries for 84 yards. But more so than that, I think what is making this decision is Pete, 11 carries for 8 yards and a lost fumble.
Yeah, he did not look good at all.
Yeah.
And, I think some people have talked about whether, the fumble against Auburn is still kind of haunting him a little bit. But that's possible. But I feel like he's looked good since then, like in other games between the Vanderbilt game and the Auburn game. But in this game specifically, he looked really not explosive at all, was not hitting the holes and fumbled. And Schrader, he's extremely limited. We know that. He's, he is what he is.
He's performed better this year than I expected.
Me too, by a very large margin. And he's pretty shifty, especially if he gets out, into the second level a little bit. He can maneuver around pretty well out there. So, and I don't think he's fumbled or anything this year. So he's pretty reliable.
Yeah, and I'll admit, I feel like you and I both were not riding the Crody Shader train.
Crody Shader.
In the preseason, we kind of thought that would not be.
We thought it'd be like that Silver Dollar City train a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
But, yeah, he's...
Thoughts and prayers to anybody that was riding the Silver Dollar City train yesterday. Tipped over.
Did a little tip.
What are we talking about?
Crody.
Yes. Coach Drinkwitz specifically mentioned his consistency, and that, I think, speaks more to Pete's inconsistency more than anything. Because that is, as good as he's looked, I mean, a game like this against Vanderbilt, 11 carries for 8 yards. That's kind of a wild swing of outcomes there.
We want Divorce Jones.
Yeah, be patient.
We want him.
Let's...
Don't burn that shirt, though.
He's been playing a little bit on special teams.
Oh, has he?
Am I wrong?
Maybe he's already burned.
We might have to look into that.
Okay.
If not, though, then
that's true. He did return a kickoff. A couple games ago.
Yeah.
Or something.
So as far as I know, that if that was just that one game, then that's only 2 games, and he can play the whole second half against New Mexico State and Arkansas.
And another game of your choosing.
Yeah. What else here? Defensive tackle Josh Landry is out for the South Carolina game. Seems like we'll probably see Marquise Graciel for the first time this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting.
I'd be fine with that.
The coaching staff, I think Coach Baker specifically said Graciel is a guy that he thinks can contribute to this team this year before it was announced that Landry was going to be out for this game.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, he came in over 300 pounds, in a good way, not he's good weight for the most part. Maybe had a little refinement to do in the weight room and everything, but it sounds like he's made even quite a bit of progress on top of what he was when he came in. So he should be ready to go physically.
The last thing I want to mention before we dig into South Carolina is Coach Drinkwitz really talked about the need for improved offensive line play. And he specifically said, and I don't know what else you're going to say, but he said that is something that is correctable this year, and he expects them to look better moving forward. I don't know how you make that happen. Good luck. But...
Well, I mean, they've played better at times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just getting the right guys in the right positions, because it seems like guys are kind of moving around a little bit. Some guys are. I don't know. I don't know anything about offensive line, to be completely honest.
I just hope that this is the low point is still getting a win against Vanderbilt, but they were getting pushed around against a not very good Vanderbilt.
And in other games, defense. They've dominated the point of attack. I have no idea what.
How do you look better against Georgia's defensive line than Vanderbilt?
I don't know. Were you going to mention the question that was asked about offensive play calling?
Oh, yeah. So, Drinkwitz was asked about an offensive coordinator, or like how I can't remember the exact question.
Yeah, it's just like, would you consider giving up play calling?
I loved his answer, honestly. He was basically like, yeah, of course. Like, anything's on the table to help the team win. But he said that he would not do that this year because that's not, and I understand that. That's not necessarily the kind of change you can make in the middle of a season.
Yeah. He did say something kind of interesting, like he caused this, so he has to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about that.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say is this is how the roles are right now.
Sure.
We're going to continue that for this season, and we will. He did say that that's something he would look at in the offseason.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised with like how not like defensive he was about it. Like he was very open and seemingly honest. I'm a little bit afraid that he was like some fake like openness.
Yeah.
With like the line that he said about like he's got to fix it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that that's true, that you need to fix it.
He did also say that it's not an ego problem for him. He would be fine with giving that up.
I think he even said something like, I've always dreamt of being a coach and not having to call plays. Like, okay, well, you could have very easily avoided that whenever you were hired.
And that's kind of when he started talking about the responsibilities of recruiting and all,
But at this point, like, I think most people understand, like, recruiting is what he's excelled at. Maybe just keep focusing on that. Like, Josh Heupel, great offensive coordinator in a lot of the stops he had. He's the head coach at Tennessee. Tennessee, if you didn't know, is like a top 5 team in the country. He does not call plays. Like, someone else handles that. He kind of plays the CEO role, whatever he needs to do. At this point, I think I'd like to see that happen in Missouri next season.
I do too, but I do think that is a tricky spot for a head coach. He's going to have to find somebody that he really trusts and that they really see eye to eye philosophically.
In year 4.
Right. And he obviously, I don't know, I think if he kind of had that guy that's been on his staffs, for many years, we might have already seen that more.
Maybe.
So I don't know how easy it'll be just to just go pick somebody up, unless it's like, this is now your offense and I'm going to take a step back.
Yeah. And it's not like a foregone conclusion that the play calling is the reason why the offense is struggling either. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's part of it, but there are obviously other struggles that are happening. Okay.
If you got 3 things, offensive line play, quarterback play, play calling, I think that's the order I would put them in as far as what the problem is right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think offensive line is the biggest issue. I also think, but Brady Cook's pretty close up there. But
and those could all help each other too. Those all impact each other.
They're connected.
So, get one of those things better, the others will follow to some extent.
Yeah, I definitely think offensive line though. If that was to just be really good individually, I think that would be the most impactful change probably if it was like significantly better.
Okay, what do we know about South Carolina? South Carolina is having homecoming this weekend, and it's the 4th Mizzou homecoming game. It was
including Missouri's homecoming.
Yeah, home against Vanderbilt, and then
Florida, Auburn,
South Carolina. South Carolina. That's funny. You don't necessarily want to be scheduled as a team's homecoming game.
It's kind of like Vanderbilt. I feel like they're our homecoming game, like
exactly.
Most years that they play in Columbia.
Yeah. So South Carolina is 5-2. They lost to Arkansas early in the season and Georgia. They are ranked 25th, which we actually talked about last week. If they beat A&M, would they be ranked? They're ranked 25th, and their wins are not that impressive. 5 wins, but they are Georgia State, Charlotte, South Carolina State, Kentucky without Will Levis a couple weeks ago, and a completely fraudulent Texas A&M team.
Yeah, there's nothing impressive there at all.
No.
Honestly, Kentucky looked terrible without Levis. Like, they were lost. Yeah. And A&M, it's just not a great win right now.
Yeah.
Their season is kind of falling apart.
Yeah, I wish we had A&M on the schedule just as not like, oh, they're bad, I think it's a guaranteed win, but just sort of that barometer of like, what really is the pecking order in the SEC?
Mm.
It's interesting that Texas A&M is like a team that I think Missouri could compete with this year. They've competed with everybody, but
yeah, I think South Carolina is actually maybe about one of the best examples of that too. It's just like, this is a team that we should be competitive with or beating most years, and we have. Drinkwitz is 3-0 against South Carolina.
Yeah,
this is a pretty good barometer game.
So South Carolina doesn't blow me away. I mean, we talked about their wins. They're 10th in the SEC in points per game allowed, 10th in the SEC in offensive points per game. They do have Spencer Rattler, who is very talented, but they've figured out something in the last few games to kind of rein him in a little bit. He started off the season pretty terribly. He still has 1,400 yards, only 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. But in more recent games, they've kind of gotten him to play a little bit more in control and a little bit more of a game manager, because they do have an excellent running back in Marshawn Lloyd. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry and has 9 touchdowns on the season. And they've got good weapons on the outside. Antoine Wells, they call him Juice. He is a very good wide receiver. He can make guys miss in open space. And
it seems like South Carolina has had a pretty nice like lineage of like good wide receivers in the last few years.
He's not getting a ton of NFL buzz right now, but I could see him. I mean, last year as a sophomore, I think he had like 1,200 yards and double-digit touchdowns. So I don't know necessarily if he's NFL caliber, but he's a very good wide receiver in the SEC. And he does it against pretty good competition.
I remember there was one, like, I mean, they had like Deebo Samuel, Pharaoh Cooper, and then I remember there was one year in particular, like Shi Smith was just like destroying us. Yeah. And then he got hurt in the middle of the game, and we kind of like surpassed them. Like, we were able to slow them down on offense after he left the game, but they seem to always have a couple of dominant offensive pieces for sure. And like South Carolina was very much like the sexy pick this offseason to be much improved. I mean, the coach kind of has that swagger a little bit, and yeah, the double Oklahoma transfer with obviously Spencer Rattler, like you mentioned, and Austin Stogner, who was like a pretty productive tight end. So which he hasn't done a whole lot, but more so than any Missouri tight end has done. But that's not saying a whole lot. So
yeah, I mean, South Carolina,
they've got pieces.
As much as we can talk about how they haven't really done a whole lot to this point, they've only beat the teams they were supposed to beat. They were still like a dark horse to finish second in the East. Yeah. And that could start this game against Missouri.
Yeah, they're 5-2. I mean, that's a pretty good record for this juncture. But I don't know. It's kind of I don't know if I would say they're fraudulent, but I don't think they're really that impressive either. And this is a game Missouri can win. I don't know that they will necessarily, but certainly a team that they should be competitive with. And I kind of wish it was at home, because I think that could make for an even more competitive game.
Yeah, it looks like South Carolina's favored by 3.5 only.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Missouri's defense is going to keep them in basically any game they play for the most part, unless it's Kansas State in a downpour. And so Rattler, man, he has that, like, I might completely blow up in this game, like, well, I guess in good or bad way, really. He can totally unravel, or he can go off. He just is that kind of a volatile player. I mean, last season, like coming into last season's year, he was supposed to be the best quarterback in the country at Oklahoma.
He was like a Heisman favorite.
Yes, and the number 1 draft pick kind of player. So he has that in his realm of outcomes for sure. He's capable of putting up crazy numbers, and hasn't really yet, but could do it.
Yeah, I'm worried that Missouri's offense won't be able to get the running game going. And I think it's going to be another ugly game. I think South Carolina is going to try to control the ball and pound it on the ground. And they've definitely got the offensive line and the running back to get that done. So as weird as it sounds for how, talented really Spencer Rattler is, I think you're going to have to make him beat you if you're Missouri. And keep the ball in his hands. And if he goes out and is incredible and beats you, so what? And I think that's the only chance Missouri has. Make him throw the ball around, try to get him into a spot where he makes a mistake, and then capitalize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think South Carolina is going to look at it the same way, and it's even better for them because they're not looking at a super scary threat in Brady Cook.
Yeah, I agree. I think they got to focus on the run and just let those cornerbacks do what they do, even if you're putting them on an island a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's your best chance at slowing down South Carolina just enough. And I think they will slow them down. It's just a matter of can they hold them under like 21 points? Because if they can't, then it's not going to matter.
Oh, man.
Because Missouri, I don't think they can score like 21 points on any Power 5 team right now.
Arkansas, this was just week 2. Arkansas scored 44 against South Carolina. Georgia scored 48. A&M scored 24 in a loss. Actually, I'm looking at this A&M score, 30-24, South Carolina. I'm feeling like that is going to be pretty similar to this game with Missouri.
I feel like there were a few scores like really late in that game.
I'm feeling like it's prediction time. Oh, man. I think it's going to be really close. This is one of Missouri's last chances to get to 6-6.
Yeah. They have to win this if they want to be bowl eligible. I mean, they don't mathematically have to, but they pretty much do. I think I'm going to go with 27-20 South Carolina. Is that generous, saying Missouri's going to score 20 points?
Maybe. Yeah, Kentucky, Tennessee, New Mexico State, Arkansas. We got to win either here at South Carolina or against Arkansas at the end to get bowl eligible. Oh, man.
Just have to win one of those, though?
Plus New Mexico State.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's doable.
No, I'm wrong. That would only get us to 5 wins.
Okay, never mind. That's probably not doable.
Oh, man. That sucks.
We're only at 3 wins right now. We're 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to win this game.
All right, they're going to do it.
Oh.
I feel like I'm just going with my heart here, but sometimes it feels good.
Hey.
This is going to be edge of your seat, kind of a crappy game, but it's going to come down to it. And Missouri's going to win a weird game, 21-19.
Wow.
I don't know how South Carolina ends up with 19 points exactly, but it
could happen. It's not impossible. Well, I'll be rooting for your outcome to happen. Would feel great to beat South Carolina, honestly. If you want to play the narrative game, this is kind of like I don't know if I'd say a trap game necessarily for South Carolina, but they're kind of just mosey on down. Like, they're 5-2. They just got a nice win against A&M. They snuck into the top 25. Like, I think they're feeling kind of good right now. I think they're feeling a little, they're living up to the hype a little bit. At least I think that's how they feel. I think it's possible they could overlook Missouri a little bit in this game.
And they're penciling in this as a win, and then they've got Vanderbilt, which they're penciling in as a win.
Yeah. Like,
so
they only put 17 points up on Vanderbilt. Like, oh, we got this.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be fine.
They're looking ahead.
Who they play next week?
They play Vanderbilt, so they're looking past that to Florida at this point.
Oh, yeah.
We can hope anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They're going to sleepwalk through the preparation.
Yeah, it's a 3:00 game.
3:00 game.
It's kind of
Just a
weird.
snoozer.
Yeah, they're gonna like.
They're at home.
The players are gonna take a nap at like 11 a.m.
They're gonna be playing Call of Duty this weekend.
They're gonna be up late.
Pulling a Kyler Murray.
What else can we
What else?
put on them? Maybe the crowd won't show up or something.
Yeah.
Probably not.
All the crowd's going to be playing Call of Duty.
What are you going to be doing this weekend?
Probably playing Call of Duty.
Yeah. So there's a chance.
It's possible. This is Drinkwitz, like, I mean, this is a Super Bowl, man. He's got to go 4-0 against South Carolina. He's got like some kind of inside knowledge. He's got the scoop. He's got the recipe.
Yeah. Kryptonite.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. No producer Cameron this week, so let's see what we're doing here. I got to try to figure out what to do. Last week, I only scored 1 point. Kyle scored 2. Producer Cameron scored 3. Ben, our guest picker, scored 3. So the totals now are me at the bottom with 41 points. Patreon guest pickers with 49. Kyle with 52. Producer Cameron with 55. So top 3, still in it, I would say.
You have anything you want to let us know about? Like, you just have a difficult time outside of the podcast that's really affecting your performance, or like anything going on in the locker room, or?
I was thinking like maybe I would just tank and try to get the number 1 draft pick, but that doesn't actually make any sense. So I think
it's one of those years, man.
Too early, I started going for broke and like
going risky.
Yeah. And it just backfired.
Hey, you live and you learn.
But I might have to just keep at it if I'm going to get back in it.
You have to now, pretty much.
So
start picking Nebraska every week.
I mean, let's see what happens here. First game is Arkansas at Auburn. Arkansas 3.5 point favorite on the road. Two teams that are struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Is Arkansas good? Nobody knows.
Yeah, they're a weird team, but I still kind of feel like their ceiling is just too high for Auburn. Like, Auburn's pretty limited. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Auburn these days, but I'll go Arkansas.
I got to figure out how I'm noting this. Okay, since everybody, producer came with Arkansas, Tristan is our guest picker this week. He said Arkansas. I got to go Auburn.
You got
home underdog.
I get them points.
Yep.
Somehow, what's his face is still coaching there?
Yeah, Brian Harsin.
Yeah.
He's out at the end of the year.
Oh, he's gone, but
yeah,
he's as good as gone.
Yeah. That's what he wants at this point. We've gone over that.
Yeah.
Florida at number 1, Georgia. Georgia 22.5 point favorite at home.
Yeah, give me Georgia.
Georgia for everyone. Number 19, Kentucky at number 3, Tennessee. Tennessee 12 point favorite at home.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that close.
You think Tennessee runs away with it?
I think so.
Tennessee's
good, man.
Tennessee, Georgia coming up soon.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Must see TV there.
For sure.
Georgia still like doing the same type of thing they did last year, holding opponents to less than 10 points per game. Tennessee scoring 50 points per game.
Oh, man.
So
that's like the best kind of matchup where the teams are just totally opposite, but they're both great in their own ways.
Everybody picked Tennessee. Then we have number 15, Ole Miss at Texas A&M. Ole Miss a 2 point favorite on the road. Texas A&M, talk about a coach that's going to get fired, but actually not.
That's like one of the worst situations ever. A coach that's completely checked out.
I love that for Texas A&M.
Oh, I love it.
Did you see Lane Kiffin was talking about it was the defensive coordinator that went from Ole Miss to A&M?
Yeah.
And Kiffin said
they got outbid.
They got outbid for him, and that's like
pretty standard for that university or whatever he said. Yeah. It's true. Texas A&M,
line.
they just buy people. That's what they do. Where are they coming up with the money? I don't know.
Oh, they've got money.
They got money.
There's a lot of money in agriculture, I guess. So that's what they do.
There's a lot of money with those guys in those like white little suits that dance around and do what they do.
Yeah, that's what you get paid the big bucks to do that. with all that being
I
said,
forgot to pick the game.
I'm about to try to figure out if I can pick Texas A&M.
I was ready to like move on to the next like topic or whatever.
Producer Cameron picked Texas A&M. Tristan picked Ole Miss.
Yeah, I gotta go Ole Miss. I can't. I don't trust A&M at all. They're in shambles.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ole Miss.
We're all picking against producer Cameron.
Yep.
Oh, go us.
Yep. He's in the lead, so we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
If he gets it right, so help us God.
Yeah, then we're done for. Last game, it's Nebraska. They are hosting number 17 Illinois. Illinois, good. That sucks.
I hate that. Ryan Walters is gone, right? He's gonna be Colorado's head coach, right?
I was gonna say that, but
It's like too obvious.
Not
Almost.
if Nebraska wants him bad.
Oh man,
they might. I like just attaching everybody to Nebraska.
Yeah.
Every potential coach. Illinois favored by 7.5 points on the road at Nebraska. And I'm picking Nebraska.
Ooh, I got to go Illinois.
That's me by myself picking Nebraska. Come on. I need it.
Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
Bielema.
Mm-hmm.
He's just really back on that Big Ten, huh?
He just thrives.
He's just
in the Big Ten.
instilling his Big Ten culture.
Maybe he'll go to Nebraska.
Ooh.
Isn't Nebraska?
He's going to coach at like half the schools in the Big Ten before
That's
it's
what
all
I want
said
to see.
and done.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just moving around.
All right. That's probably it for this week.
I think so.
All right. Well, special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Demore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Luis Hernandez, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You do.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew it. I was literally just laughing because I knew you were going to make me say it. And you can find our T-shirts and stickers on
our online shop.
our online shop at MissouriSportsPod at BigCartel.com.
.BigCartel.com.
.BigCartel.com.
It's in the description. Link in the description.
Link in the bio.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week. After a win. They're going to win.